Let's start today's study with a prayer. Father Almighty, Master Jesus, good spirits who are always supporting and helping us in our path. Here we are together around Kardec's teachings to learn, to identify, to practice ways of do charity. That your love could be with us, touching our hearts and every single heart here present. So that opportunity could bring us a bit more light, a bit more certitude of what we are and how to act. Be with us through this beautiful Saturday. So be it.
So be it.
Let me share my screen with you all. Share. Try to make it a bit bigger. Okay. So we are continuing the 1853. So I'm going to read the first sentence anyway, and then we carry on. Just increase here so I can see you guys better. The idea that people normally have about spirits make the phenomenon of spirits manifestation seem incomprehensible at first. Such a phenomenon cannot occur without the action of a spirit upon matter, and what is why those who regard the spirits as completely lacking in matter ask, with apparently good reason, how they can act physically upon it. This is precisely the error, whatever. For a spirit is not an abstraction, but rather a defined, limited, and circumscribed being. Spirit, while incarnated in a body, comprises the soul. When it leaves the body behind at death, however, it is not deprived of its entire envelope. All spirits have told us that they retain the human form, and in fact, when they appear to us, it is in this form that we recognize them. So that image that sometimes we see on movies, on cartoons, that when someone dies, the spirit is something like a sheet or like a balloon type of thing. This is not what the spirits brought to us. In the reality, many people believe that what we will see is like that. We'll see someone like a ghost type of thing. But in reality, we know that when we passed away, we maintain our human form. We have our body. And this body for the spirit is physical, as our body here is physical to us. Of course, the matter that this body is on the spiritual world is different than ours. Let us closely examine the moment in which they have just left life behind. They find themselves in a state of confusion. Everything is unclear around them. They see their own whole or mutilated body. Depending on the type of death, on the other hand, they feel themselves alive. Sometimes something tells them that the body lying there belongs to them, but they cannot understand how they can be separated from it. We have two things here, right? First, that state of confusion. I believe is probably the same state of confusion when we are born, because we don't know anybody there. We don't know anything. When we open our eyes, everything is different. Everything is kind of new. So same thing is when we leave this body to be reborn in the other plane, in the spiritual world. Because life and death is that. We are reborn when we come to earth. We are reborn when we come back to the spiritual world. And we are reborn again when we come to earth. So we see things as dying. Death is, of course, is hard on every one of us. Death is something that we don't want to because we are afraid for what's going to happen if there is continuity, if there is not. But we are reborn many times over and over. Hi, Liz.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, you say the confusion when we're born and the confusion when a lot of people die. And I just had a query about, being born. Um, what is the reason, or is there any reason why babies cry when they're born? Is it because they suddenly realize they don't want to be down here and they want to be back home? I know they have to take their first breath, but why do they cry?
Well, I can't tell you something funny, but I'll try to be serious as possible. Actually, I believe the cry is a human mechanism to allow to clear the lungs, to prepare them to breathe better. That's why when the baby is born and does not cry, it does happen. We spunk a little bit the pump to allow them to give that first cry, the first shout to clear the airways. So that's what I think is the true reason behind that, right? Some people may say that, oh my God, am I born here in this family again? No, I want to come back, type of thing, but no, I truly believe it's just organic need to any being to come here.
When they're born,
Yes.
only humans.
Mm-hmm. Why? Do you have any different perception about that?
No, I just instinctively feel it's a shock to the baby, leaving the womb, and suddenly being in a different environment because they don't feel secure anymore. They don't have, all the fluid and comfort of the womb suddenly. Um, but also, maybe in some cases, the realization, well, I'm here now. It's not what I really wanted, even though I agreed.
Could be all of it. Could be all of it. So
Yeah.
we have to make a deal here. Next time you're reborn, make a note and let us know, because so far we don't have that for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all the points are plausible. I think they are maybe is a sum of them together, you know. But what comes to my mind is the need to clear the lungs because, as you said, they are in the fluid, amniotic fluid for 9 months. So it has
Yeah.
to go out. And to the point that when they don't cry, they have to go with a tube to clear the airways sometimes. So I think it's more like that. But anyway, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the second item here is that feel themselves alive, something tells that this sense of what is going on. My body is there. I can see my body, but I'm here. My body is here. We see that over and over in a mediumship meeting. So it is very common to a spirit when passed away to be kind of lost because, first of all, he never heard about the spiritual world, and now he see his body and himself, and how is that possible? So it's a state of confusion that probably happens more often than we think. They continue to see themselves in their previous shape, and this sight provokes a strange delusion in some spirits for a certain length of time. They regard themselves as still among the living. I think we have two things here. In the moment when we die, we see our physical body and our spiritual body. That's physical to us when we are not in the physical body. So we do not comprehend how that is possible, right? And we also have a situation that after that moment when we die, months, years later, we still think we are alive because we still have our spiritual body. I have fingers. I'm thirsty. I'm hungry. I can talk. I can hear. Maybe other people cannot hear me, but I can talk. You know. So there's also a stage of confusion that could prolong a little bit longer, depending on how you have been presented or not to the continuity of the life. They lack enough experience with this new state to be fully convinced of the reality of the situation. Yes. And sometimes, even when they are in a mediumship meeting talking to us through a medium, they do not realize and they say, no, it's not possible. And then we do a little exercise to show them that something is different. And they whoa, what's going on? So they need that shock to see that, whoa, there's something. I don't know what that, what I don't like what I see. I don't like, but it's something different. What's going on? You know? And this can happen very often as well. When this first moment of confusion dissipates, the body seems like old, worn out, clothing from which worn out clothing from which they have freed themselves and no longer want. It depends on the status of the spirit of the person disincarnating. They feel lighter and relieved of a burden. They no longer suffer from any physical pain, and they are delighted at being able to rise and move through space as they had already done many times in their dreams when they were alive. Well, there's a statement here. They don't longer suffer from any physical pain. They will not suffer from any pain that was inflicted or a consequence of a disease on the physical body, but the spirit feel pain. And we see that on the mediumship meetings. They feel pain. It's not the pain of the physical body. Now is the pain that's a consequence of the pain of the physical body on the spiritual body. Depending on the situation, we can help on the mediumship meeting. Depending on the situation, it takes longer to be helped. Because perispirit and physical body, they are tied together. One is the mirror of the other. So when we move, depending on my, how can I say that? Depending on my rights, I may be able to leave behind most, if not all, the pain on my physical body. Depending on my rights or lack of my rights, if I may say like that, then we carry with us that very same pain. Nevertheless, in spite of lack of a body, they notice they have retained their personality. They have a form that neither bothers nor embarrasses them. Finally, they are conscious of their self and their individuality. I think this comment that was done here is because a lot of people believe that after death there's nothing, there's nothingness. So when we are in face of something else, could be a massive surprise. What are we to conclude from all this? That the soul does not leave everything behind in the grave, but takes something along with it instead. How do you guys see that? Do you understand? Do you accept that when we passed away, we carry things with us? Or do you think you're just a bubble of thoughts? What do you guys think? Nobody think anything. Wonderful.
I do.
Okay,
Morning, everybody. Even in the physical body, when we are incarnated, we can experience that. Everyone knows that pain is quite subjective, and depending on the way I am thinking and I am feeling, that pain is going to increase or decrease. So if we are without the physical body, that pain is going to be there depending on the way that I'm thinking and feeling anyway. Because my mind, my thoughts, my feelings, they are not depending on the physical body. They are from me, from myself. And they are imprinted all over the perispirit anyway. That's how I understand. So for me, this is just, it depends on each one of us. The pain, the same thing that happens between me with the same condition with somebody else, we can experience it in different ways because of the way we think about it when we manage our pain in the sense of how we are feeling about it. It is. I know it seems a bit abstract, but it is. We have nothing else, kind of to become a bit more concrete for people to understand what I'm saying. But I think you do. Yeah, that's my opinion on that one.
very good. Very good. So let's move on to the next item, item 54. Numerous observations and irrefutable facts, which we shall deal with later, have demonstrated that human being consists of three components: soul or spirit, the intelligent principle in which the moral sense resides; the body, the material and dense envelope which the spirit temporarily uses as a garment for fulfilling certain providential designs; 3. The perispirit, the fluidic semi-material envelope, which serves as the link between the soul and the body. There's one thing that's sometimes not easy, and I think creates some confusion, is the words that we use for the same thing, right? If instead of using here the link, the semi-material envelope, we had established from A to Z, spiritual body, would become clearer to more people. I don't see any mistake here at all, but I see that people may see, wow, it's not a body, it's just a link. What is a link? It's like a Bluetooth link between the physical body and the spirit, on the soul, And I see that a lot on the Spiritism when we do not define what the words or what things are with a single word. And people, because they try to change the perception, or they start to call the same thing in different names, and becomes a bit complicated especially for the beginners, to understand what is what. Death is the destruction, or better, the disaggregation of the dense envelope that the soul abandons. So what is the dense envelope here? You see what I mean? If you put it here, physical body would be straightforward. It's the physical, what we call physical body. The other envelope detaches itself and accompanies the soul, which therefore always has an envelope. Although fluidic, ethereal, vaporous, or invisible to us, it is normal in its normal state. Its latter envelope is also material, despite the fact that until now we have been unable to capture it and submit it to analysis. But here, there is no doubt that Kardec is telling us that the perispirit is physical, is matter. May not be matter to us, but if you want to make a comparison, the oxygen is matter. I cannot hold the oxygen, but we know it's matter because we were able to measure. We are able to weight. We are able to make experiments on this air we cannot grab, but we are able to consider that as a matter. We accept that the air is matter, So far, we are not able to accept that the perispirit exists or is matter because we cannot grab as the air, and we cannot do experiments to prove it scientifically yet. The second envelope of the soul, or perispirit, therefore exists during corporeal life itself. It is the intermediary for all the sensations perceived by the spirit, and through which the spirit transmits its will to the outside world and acts upon the physical organ, the body, physical organs. So the perispirit is the go-between, right? Takes up and down the information. To make the material analogy, the perispirit is the electrical wiring that serves for the reception and transmission of thought. Finally, this mysterious and imperceptible agent, known also as a neural fluid, which performs such as an important role in the organic working of the body, is still not sufficiently taken into consideration regarding physiological and pathological phenomena. By taking only the ponderable material element into consideration, medical science deprives itself of a permanent cause of action in its study of the facts. It is slowly changing. It is slowly changing because I think, I'm not sure if it was here that I mentioned, back in Brazil, the seed that's what defined the diseases is a document already recognized obsession as one of the causes of disease. And obsession are created by the spirits. So we start to migrate into something that is more flexible in that end. However, this is not the proper place to examine the issue, and we need only remember that knowing about perispirit is the key to a host of problems that have until now been unexplainable. The perispirit is not one of those hypotheses in which science seeks recourse in order to explain a given fact. Its existence was not only revealed by the spirits, but also have been confirmed by observation, as we will have the occasions to demonstrate further on. For now, and in order to anticipate issues that we will have to deal with later, we will limit ourselves to stating that whether during its union with the body or after its separation from the soul, the soul is never separated from its perispirit. That's what we know today. Still what we know today, right? There are different bodies evaluated by different philosophies, but what we know today is that. Hi, Charles.
Yes, hello, everyone. I mean, this is really a deep philosophical question. If the spirit itself is immaterial, how can the spirit act upon matter? Both in the life, when we are incarnated, our spirit is acting on our body, and also discarnated by the chapter we are studying now, action of spirits upon matter, moving tables and things like that. And the existence of this intermediary perispirit is key to understand this, to answer to this philosophical question which exists since a long time. So Kardec is bringing somehow an answer to it, some light, or Kardec or the spirits who helped him in this way. But the question is always, okay, the perispirit and the semi-material, its matter is coming from the universal cosmic fluid. The question still remains, we do not know really if the intelligent principle is also a transformation of the universal cosmic fluid or not. So some questions like this still remain not completely solved in the Spiritist codification. But this helps us to understand the fact that the spirit has a semi-material body, how the spirit can act upon matter. And also the principle that as more the spirit evolves, the less dense is this perispirit, and explaining why the spirits who are acting upon matter are generally less evolved spirits with a heavier perispirit, which is easier to act upon physical matter.
This comment made me think, Charles, in a lot of things, you know, and how little we know and how stubborn we are still today. Because if this knowledge come to us today with a different shape or form, different news about the spiritual world, we'll be the first ones to deny, because we are not prepared to accept new information. We are not prepared to consider that things are evolving. So it's how people will react. Let's assume that sometime in the future, 100, 200, 300 years ago, later, I don't know, this very same group of spirits who did the Spirits book decide to get together to bring the Spirits book number 2. What we would say? It's not possible. It's fake. It's animism. Is someone trying to publicize something to make money? We'll be the first ones to do on the Spiritism itself. Imagine the people outside, you know. Luckily today, science is proving things that have been said over the centuries on the Spiritism. Things that Kardec said, things that Spirit said through Chico Xavier, for example. So slowly, things that were just theory at the time become a little bit more real for us. And even today, we have spiritists that accept, and that we have spiritists that do not accept André Louis' teachings. So it's complicated, isn't it? Very complicated. Anyway, shall we continue?
Guilherme,
Yes.
I wrote here in the chat, but I think it's better to say in the words, because I wrote it to you yesterday or the day before yesterday that I discovered something very important talking with a professor from Curitiba. I forgot his name now. I wrote it to you, no? Cosme Massi. In Cosme Massi, we were talking about the online mediumship, blah, blah, blah. And he said, Elsa, but it's there. Is there where? Oh, in the Medium's book. But where? So he said to me the chapter, the line, the item. And when I was reading, Guilherme, I was want to talk to you again. Because I said, how I, so many years, didn't notice in between the lines, the idea about how Kardec was teaching someone to exercise mediumship. That is what we do nowadays. He was doing with the letters, and we are doing now online. The same. So we have the doors open for so many years, but only now we are really dealing with what we have in our hands, the electronic, virtual, etc., internet, etc., and beautifully, because I learned beautifully. The work is wonderful, and the achievement is 100%, in my point of view, correct. So we are now starting Medium's book again, 2 months or 3 months already, but we are in the really good, the best way that we can do and work and going further in the area of spirituality and mediumship. And I didn't see anywhere things like that we have in our hands. So I'm really a happy person to
Very
share.
interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. When we will be there, this lesson, that is a 200 question or paragraph, will be something that we can really deep and try everyone to catch the essence of the study. Okay, it's only that. Thank you.
Elsa, human nature try to control one another. a lot of people use the Bible. I can go even further, the Kardec's book, to keep a certain degree of control. That is the way I see. That's how I can perceive. So that's the only thing that's right. And Kardec himself told us over and over, study by yourself, do research. Don't accept a no as an answer. Ask again. Try to do experimentations. But no, we need to keep control. So no, I cannot do mediumship meetings at home because it's dangerous. Well, yeah, we need to go to the past to see how things were done in the past. Oh, we cannot do this because I feel uncomfortable. So if I feel uncomfortable, cannot be right, and so on. And I think this is in the nature of every human being to define what they want to believe as right, as a truth, but does not define what is the real truth. And the consequences of what we preach is on us. If what I preach is preventing people to do charity, I am responsible for it. Oh yes, I agree. The person has the free will. I totally agree with that. But the free will can be manipulated by someone's idea. I can come here and start to preach to you all that the virtual mediumship meetings is no longer safe. It's coming from the devil. It's coming from... I can tell you anything, and I will convince you all here that's not safe. You all have your free will. But because I'm able to sell you very well my point of view, I'm become responsible for your decision nevertheless. And I am also responsible for the outcomes. Because if I'm convincing people not to do charity or not to do mediumship for some reason, I'm responsible for the outcome. So somewhere along the line, I will be facing the consequences of my choice. So it's the same way I always like to say to people, oh, I'm coming to a mediumship today, I'm not coming tomorrow, I disappear for 3 weeks, 2 months, and come back. This is a serious mistake. You are responsible for what you do and what you don't do. If you understood how serious it is, a mediumship meeting, you know that assiduity is a must. And there are spirits count on you to be helped, to alleviate the pain. And if you decide, well, sorry, I'm going to the party today I'm not going to the meeting, that's fine. But remember that you had already aligned 1, 2, depending on the method you use, number of spirits to be assisted by you. And if you decide not to go, they will be there waiting for the next opportunity. I could say other things, but I prefer to say just that. They will be there waiting for the next opportunity. Hi, Osoli. Osoli? I cannot hear you.
No. Hi, Guilherme, Elsa, Charles, everybody. Always I think about the people. They have time. They have a long disease and the treatment and of many. So they have time to maybe angry. Oh yeah, God, I forgot the name now. Se arrepender.
Regret.
What he did, so. But I think people that they wasn't the best in their life and die suddenly. I always think about what's happened with this kind of people. And another question is our life, is our Perispirit postcard from us, a visit card or a postcard from us? So show us what we was when we go, or when we can have opportunity here to change the situation of our perispirit, because you know what this is. If I know this decision, and it's a. I think this is depend our moral state. We have this decision, we have a decision, or we have maybe we understand what's happened with us, and they'll have this decision here in this reincarnation. I don't know if I can. It was. It's not good in my English today.
Well,
but
the perispirit will present the status. Oh, sorry, I didn't see your hand. Go on.
No, I just want to add, a thought that crossed my mind, that sometimes we talk about the perispirit as something that is here, but is sort of waiting the moment to act, but we forget that all our perceptions, as Kardec said, what we are, what we perceive of ourselves, even our body, is our perispirit. It is through our perispirit. Otherwise, we wouldn't, perceive things. We talk about spirit, the mind. We talk, about the body, and we know there is kind of glue. No, it's not a glue. It's actually how everything gets to us as spirits, our essence, our intellectual element, as such, and how it returns to the body is through our perispirit. Our awareness now of who we are, our awareness of our body is through our perispirit, although limited, because the body limits this, perception. And we know that mediums go beyond that, you see, not just what the physical body is capable of providing, but also this extra sense that we all have, but lies dormant in some of us. But it is through our perispirit. We can sense it, you see. Everything I'm perceiving, from my body, from the environment, is through my perispirit. Go through the body and to my perispirit, through my perispirit, see?
Munir, sometimes when we go to one book that shows body A, B, C, one next to another, people start to think, oh, so on my left side is the perispirit, on my right side, my spirit. And then, people have a hard time to comprehend that all the bodies are intermeshing. They are all intermeshing. They are all integrated.
Integrated.
So
this
they are
is the word
integrated.
Thank you.
And when they are integrated, you feel what your physical body feels, you feel what your spirit feels, you feel what your perispirit feels, because they are one. They are not separated. Like, it's not like the Wi-Fi is not working very well between
It's
one
not
another.
like my shirt, you see? It's not like my shirt. Yeah.
Exactly, and yes, we know very little. A lot of things need to come to bring us that knowledge. But what we know, if we study a bit more, we will understand and we'll feel comfortable with the degree of information we already have. Oh, I have two hands. Liz?
Yeah. I don't see in the Spiritist work the word consciousness mentioned very often. And is not the perispirit the consciousness of a soul? And this is the modern word consciousness for what is the perispirit.
That's why I was speaking on the beginning, that when we use many different words for the same thing, on the end of the day, we get lost, right? If you want to use that word consciousness, we have to relate more to the spirit than to the perispirit, because the source of your thoughts, my thoughts, are the spirit, not the perispirit. So the word consciousness is more like to our thoughts than to any other body. So I would relate more to the spirit.
So the perispirit is the connector between the spirit and the body of the consciousness.
That's the way I see.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
we need to understand that to react, to move a mouse on earth, I need my physical body. To move a mouse on the spiritual world, I need my perispirit to move the mouse. So is the instrument that the spirit uses to interact in the plan of existence.
I have a further question. It's concerning the process at the time of passing, the actual process of the spirit of from leaving the planet to going home. What is the actual process? And the perispirit obviously stays with the spirit, because at the moment there's a lot of stuff on social media where people are now saying, do not follow the light, it is a trick. And I think it's important we discuss this because, you know, there are spirits around us at the moment and they need to know this as well as us. There's so much misinformation now.
Yes. Internet is a powerful tool.
Yes.
Like the atomic energy, like electricity, like many other things are wonderful. They can be used for good, they can be used for bad.
Absolutely.
The people that are promoting not to follow the light are probably the people trying to promote you to follow the darkness.
Absolutely.
You know, so I will stop there because there's no information from the Spiritism to give any more detail saying not to go to the light. It's exactly the opposite. And even if we study other religions or other philosophies, they always point you to the light, to a better place. Anybody saying the opposite, in my opinion, and the opinion of the Spiritism, because there's no record saying you not to go to the light, and the other philosophies as well, does not match. So I would stop there, right? You made few questions on the same, right? You're talking about how is the mechanism when we disconnected.
Yeah.
The best ever description I found so far is one of André Luiz's books called Evolution in the Two Worlds. People read and people don't see, right? When we disconnected, I forgot the name now in English, but when we disconnected, there is a chemical reaction. There is a chemical reaction happening. Part of your perispirit remains. These chemical reactions built up like another layer on your perispirit so you can interact on the spiritual world. And it does make sense because we need different type of bodies to interact in different planes, right? There is also another information that people say, well, when we die, we have like a hurricane of thoughts coming in my head. I was revisiting everything I did during my time on Earth. And there's also records saying that the same things happen when we reincarnate. And makes sense as well, because we don't have different laws. We have a universal law. And a law does not change. So it does make sense. So if you want to go in depth in that line of study, I would suggest you to read this book from André Luiz. But when we die, is a process, including chemical reactions. During the chemical reactions, some cells are liberated to build up another layer on your perispirit. And then that's how you can interact on the other world. That brought to us by André Luiz. Okay?
So, as you quite rightly said, the process is, you know, head for the light. Now, psychologically, what is the best thing for us to think about at that time? We have free will. So to double ensure we go home, what is the best thing to say, right, now I realize my situation, I'm leaving the body. In my mind, I just want to psychologically think, I'm going home, I'm going to meet my family and friends, but I'm going to my highest good, to God's home. You know, something like that. What would be the best thoughts that people could have?
Every individual is a universe. Your experiences, what you are, your choices, will build how you will arrive on the other end. Some of us may not see light at all when we arrive on the other side. Some of us, we may see both, light and darkness. So it's up to the individual to choose where he wants to go. But I would say that normally we should go to a better place. We should go to a place where there is love, where is peace. But there is also something called resonance that sometimes, even if I want to go there, my vibration will not allow me to go there. I'll be attracted by where I need to go. I will resonate with the energy of that place. So it's not something like I want to go, my thought, no. I don't believe it's like that. I believe, yes, if you do have the opportunity, if it is presented to you and if you can go, choose to go to a better place because it will be better for you. But I believe that sometimes you cannot choose like that because you have first to earn the conditions you need to go to that place. Right? So I don't believe anybody can create a rule on that aspect. But if I want to create a rule, I would create a rule when we are incarnated. Start now to do good things, to practice charity, to do things that will allow you, when you're passing through this process that we call death, have enough earnings to go to a good place instead of a bad place. That to me, that's the only rule we can create. Let's be honest. Let's be charitable. If I'm a medium, let's do my job properly, the job that I agreed to do. If I am no spiritist, if I don't believe in God, doesn't matter. But you can help someone on the streets. You can feed someone that's hungry. That will build up your conditions to go to a better place when the time has come. That is a master rule, in my opinion. Other than that, case by case.
Your deeds by your actions.
Indeed. So now I'm going to the second Lise before she starts to complain with me. Hi, second Lise.
I won't complain. Well, you know, we were talking about Perispirit, and I agree how difficult it is to understand, you know, what it is, and you know, because we like to see things in formats, don't we? And kind of when I was teaching my children this concept as a child, I was like, oh my God, it is difficult, really. But something, you know, popped into my head, and the analogy that I kind of create for a perispirit, because people say it's like your clothes. But it's, you know, the body is like your clothes and things like that. And it just creates another layer of complexity. So I'm thinking, like, if our perispirit is connected to our body cell by cell, it is, for me, like a sponge. And if you dip that sponge into a solution, which would be the dense matter, that sponge is going to be the format of the body. And you dip that sponge, and then when you rise the sponge, that is, you know, the body, the matter is in the format of that sponge anyway. And for me, that's the only way that I found to kind of visually, because obviously some of us learn visually, we need to have a form, we need to have a picture in our minds to kind of understand things. And the analogy, very rudimentary analogy of a sponge, works for me. So then I kind of, wanted to just share my kind of point of view to see if it makes sense to you guys as well.
Liz, I start my answer to you saying that's no right or wrong, because sometimes when we create, oh, this is right, this is wrong, that defines something that sometimes ourselves we don't fully understand. I prefer to believe that the subject is very interesting and not well studied so far. And perhaps what I know, what you know, what anybody knows about the subject is incomplete. So I really encourage everyone, especially mediums, to study the subject Perispirit, because I think it's lovely. And every time you go a little bit further, whoa, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming. This is completing what I thought, but I wasn't sure, or this is entirely different than what I thought. And so,
yeah. And each one of us learn in a different way.
Exactly.
Each one uniquely learn in a different way. So, as I said, I'm very visual, and I gotta have some ideas in my head. And so far, that is the idea that, is kind of making more sense to me. Because if the perispirit is the mold for the body, it makes more sense to me. But the perispirit, in itself is still kind of something that we can't really comprehend. But as we grow, we will understand.
I will tell one thing here, just to give a bit of information, like 4 times that. Yeah. Something like 10 years ago, we were discussing with the spiritual benefactors in a meeting, and we were asking some specific questions about the physical body, about perispirits, because they told us to study. So, okay, you asked me to study, so now I have questions for you. And then one of those benefactors said to us, well, benefactor X, he's right now studying DNA genetics on the spiritual world. DNA genetics of the spiritual body on the spiritual world. So even on the spiritual world, nothing is granted. They're still evolving what they know, what they study, and things like that. So this is very important. We always study and go further. I mentioned to Lisa something that on this book here, Evolution to Worlds, and the topic in Portuguese is histogênese espiritual. Spiritual histogenesis in English is what describe what I told here, all right? Because even back in Brazil, like 10, 15 years ago, when I did a presentation about that, people thought I was like, oh, you're losing your plot. No, it's there. But the problem is people do not study enough or do not want to see what is there and then start to build up their own truth. But the information is there.
Book up again. Can I see the cover?
Well, this is in Portuguese, the cover. I don't have the English. Evolution to Worlds.
I think I've got that one. I'll look at my library. Yeah.
I should have here, just a minute. Yes. To give you guys an idea how important is this book, in my opinion, I have in English.
All right.
I have in French too.
Ah, excellent. Right. I think I might have that.
But I haven't read in the other language. So I'm not sure if the translation is 100% or not. And who am I to say is right or not? But
I'm sorry, Guilherme. Can you say again, chapter?
Oh dear. The topic.
Sorry.
Is a topic called histogênese espiritual in Portuguese. I just lost the page.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I find. Thank you.
Okay, let me see the chapter. Which one is it? Chapter 11, Existence of the Soul.
Lovely. Thank you.
So now I'm coming to Camila. Hi, Camila.
So that is nice, this topic. So you can also help me to know if I misunderstand the things, right? Because I put in the chat, in the spiritual book, we have the vital principle, right? They speak about that. So in the silly way that makes sense in my mind, maybe I'm wrong. I understand that you have the spirit, that is the intelligence, the part that thinks. Then we have the perispirit, that is like a body, is material, but from the spirit. So if you are more involved, this body is more light, so can go in more places. Otherwise, it's more heavy, and then you're being more like earth, like more dark places. And then we have it is vital principle. That is what make the life with our body, like a radio. So we have the radio that is the body, and if I turn it on, I have electricity, and then things will work. If I turn it off, you'll not, right? So the glue is the vital principle, and when we die, it's because we lose this vital energy, right? Because the way that I understood the last time that I read that was like we die not because the body stops, but because we lose the vital energy, and that is the root cause that make the body stops.
It depends. It depends, right? But let me stir up the pot a little bit more. Everything, well, not everything, but let's say we have universal fluid, cosmic fluid, right? The matter is a byproduct of this fluid. The vital fluid is also a byproduct of this fluid. The vital fluid is what guarantees that our physical body can stay alive. You have the energy. Let me put that there. Is the battery, right? The vital fluid is the battery you put in your physical body when you reincarnate, right? If you don't take care properly of your physical body, you will use more battery. If you use more battery, means that you may not be able to do what you plan to do, right? When your physical body dies, means that something abrupt happens in this way, in your way, that stop you, and that is a totally different thing. Or when you used the battery you had for your reincarnation.
Because just to complete, right? Because like for example, the ectoplasm, the medium that has a lot of ectoplasm, like the Dr. Fritz, the guy that he received Dr. Fritz in Brazil and he do the surgeries, right? He died very young. So that was the relation that I was trying to do. You can help me understand. The guy was dead because he used too much the ectoplasm.
No.
And no?
No. You're talking about Arigo. Arigo was the first medium that worked in Brazil on that scale with the Fritz. And Arigo, he died in an accident. So his battery perhaps was full.
Okay. I
But
thought
the
that
accident, that's why I said to you, not always your fluid was finished. Perhaps something happens on the way that you have the energy, but you destroy your physical body in such a way that even if you have 90% energy in your battery, you don't have a body anymore. You destroy
But
your body.
can ectoplasm medium die because he used too much?
No.
No,
No.
it's
Then
impossible.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but I would recommend everybody to study the topic ectoplasm. because it's different. It's different.
It's different. It's not the vital principle. I'm confusing. Okay.
Okay. Hi, Charles.
Yes, I think it's our time already, but I just wanted very quickly two things. First, answering to Liz. Evolution in two worlds is good, but is a little bit complex and not so well translated, at least in French. But a good source is Heaven and Hell from Kardec, second part. And there you have the first chapter which explains everything. Second thing is when they are called to go to light, I think some evil spirits are intelligent enough to have lamps or things like this, giving us the impression that they bring a light. But thanks God, we are intelligent as well. So we need to use our intelligence to make the difference between this artificial light and the true light, which is the goodness, the characteristic of evolved spirits, of mentors, and so on. And this Kardec is explaining very well in the first section of the second part of the Heaven and Hell. And then concerning Camilla, it's a little bit more complicated because vital principle is one thing, vital fluid is another thing. And also I wanted to say that the item 55, next one, is giving a lot of elements of answers to a lot of questions that just have been raised.
Energetically, would we not be able to sense, you know, being sentient beings and spirits, would we not be able to sense that one is more negative than the other anyway when we're in that situation, in that process?
I don't know. That is my honest answer. I don't know.
When we are what's the question? When we are disincarnated, if we are able to feel the other spirit, if it's heavy or if it's more negative.
It depends. It depends.
And, you know, going in the right direction, really.
Yeah, it depends. We cannot establish a rule, right? But to finalize here, taking what Charles said, if you are in a tunnel and if you see a light on the end of that tunnel, maybe a train coming to you. Don't go in the direction. So we are coming to the end of our study today. Pablo is not here. Is anyone here who wants to conduct the prayer?
I can do it. It's Lolita, sorry.
Oh, hi Lolita. How are you doing? You all right?
I'm all right, thanks. I'm all right. I can do it. So, closing our eyes and getting in touch with our divine light that resides within us. Let us get together and ask this divine light, bless all of us here, bless our families, bless the ones we love. And let's reach out to the world, surround us. Let's reach out to those who are unfortunate and are at the moment living in pain, in poverty, living in zones of conflict. Those who are in despair. And when they look around them, they can hardly see a way out. So let us together send light to these brothers and sisters and wish that our light brings them comfort, hope, and courage to move ahead, to walk towards light, to walk towards goodness, and being able to see that there are helping hands around them, understanding that they are not alone, that beside them there is always a guardian angel, there is always a good spirit ready to help them, and all they need is ask. So may our light bring comfort to their hearts and bring light to their path. And may God bless us all. And may we always remember that everything is just a phase and that all will be well tomorrow. And God bless us all. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Guilherme. Thank
Bye.
you, everybody. So